Welcome back to episode 18. We're going to cut a panel up today. This panel seems like it turned out pretty good. There's one little tiny spot in this area up here where it seems like it maybe didn't stick quite good enough, but this section is going to be for the bottom of the rear shelf area, so it doesn't matter. Everything else seems like it's pretty solid. And George, thanks for the tip, George. Next panel, George mentioned that I should, after we lay the top skin on, that I should maybe roll the skin just to make sure there aren't any air pockets. And I'm glad that he mentioned that, because when we go back and look at this spot underneath here, you can't really see. Well, you can kind of, hopefully you can kind of see there's foam stuck, and then there's a big spot right next to it where there's no foam stuck to it. So that means that the skin was not touching. So I think that's a pretty valid explanation for why some of the stuff didn't stick. I think that there were some air pockets. So again, thanks George for pointing that out. I'm gonna figure out a roller for the next panel so that we can roll it, because the next two panels are walls, the side walls, and so those have to be about as perfect as I can get them. So anyway, steep learning curve, but I think the next panels will turn out pretty good. So anyway, today's plan is to start cutting this up, so let's get to work. Also, I don't want Brad to yell at me again, so Brad, I'm going to be wearing a mask this time. Okay, buddy? There's my conduit. That looks like it worked pretty good. Doesn't look like there's any delam in the skin so far, so that's promising. Now that I've made two cuts, I think I'm going to cut the rest of this outside the shop, because this is making a terrible mess and I don't want to get all this fiberglass chunk and dust and crap all over everything in here again. So I'm probably going to move the Tahoe and put this on sawhorses outside and do some cutting out there, I think. bright out here. Alright, so if you guys remember way back in episode 7, which I think was like a year ago, I had my buddy Dirk, thanks again Dirk, for cutting this stuff out for me. I had these templates cut, and I'm finally getting to use partially the front part of it. So I've got my drawing here. This is the divider that goes in the upper storage at the front bulkhead, which I'll put a screenshot right here so you can see it divides. It's going to divide the cubbies from the electrical panel and stuff on the other side of it, on the roadside. So anyway, I'm using this to trace out this panel so I can cut it with the jigsaw and have an accurate line for the inside face of the skin. So here goes nothing. Alright guys, so panel's pretty much cut up. This stack is pretty much all the front bulkhead stuff that's going in the front here, the front cubbies, the lower parts, then the countertop, or actually the middle part is this one. It's just upside down on here, and then I've got to cut one more smaller panel, so I have an access panel that's coming out of that goes in this area, so, and then it'll have a hole in it so that I can access all of the water system stuff that's all going to be mounted down in this. So yeah, everything cut up, everything. So as far as panel like adhesion and all that kind of stuff, everything looks pretty good. There's a few pockets here and there that look like they're maybe, yeah, so you can see there's one here where it's not loose, but you can see there's a little bit of a gap there. And so back to what George was telling me is, I think that and I think that this and this on the big panel, I think those are all air pockets. So I'm really glad you mentioned that, George. So yeah, the next panel is going to get, after the top skin's put on, I'm going to have some kind of a heavy roller or something and roll that thing back and forth to get all the air out of it. I think what I'm going to use is, I've got some of these big ass heavy solid steel rollers. I don't know if those are going to be too heavy though. I don't think so, but I'll probably rig up a axle and then like a handle of some sort to so that I can lift those up there and we can roll it across. I may end up, my other buddy Brad, thanks Brad for suggesting this, he said that that I could roll it after the vacuum press rubber membrane is on, then put the roller up there and roll it afterwards. So before, after, I don't know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but I think that's going to eliminate any of the air pockets and stuff in here. So but overall I think the panel turned out pretty good. I mean, it seems like it's pretty rigid and everything stuck pretty good, so pretty happy with it. So anyway, next step is going to be going around on these flanges here. You can see I've got holes in that one and I've got holes in that one, and those verticals, and I've got to put some more holes on the other side around the fender wells. But the next step is to final trim all my fender well stuff and the bed platform, and actually get those, at the very least, the fender wells and the rear bulkhead, this rear bulkhead here, get all those things adhesive and pop riveted on the trailer and ready to go. And then once the fender wells are on, then I'm going to take a bunch more of my sheet metal angle stuff here, and I'll be making more of those brackets, bigger and smaller depending on where they're going to go in strategic places, so that this thing's going to have, you know, 1,000 pop rivets in it probably, or more. So anyway, yeah, everything's looking pretty good. So next video, I don't know what I'm going to do next weekend, but I'm going to do something and I'll record it and upload it. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.